But with Dalton in particular, it seems like last night, you look at the opener, the touchdown against Baltimore, those are the exact type of plays that this offense has been kind of needing out of him, and to see him provide them pretty consistently here through the first 3 weeks, how big is that for him and for you guys?
Look, it's huge, right? We talked about the type of offseason that he had, that he was here and just doing everything he had to do to get ready to go, and he had a strong training camp. And look, when he's out there making plays, he's a football player, and good things happen. And 2 of the 3 games for him to start with a touchdown, and that's huge for us. But he's a huge spark for our offense, and when he's out there, a lot of good things tend to happen. I would love for him to get in the one that got to the 1-yard line a little later, but look, I'm excited that he's playing confident. He knows he's feeling healthy again, and you can see it for sure.
James Cook has over 200 yards after contact the last 2 weeks. How have you seen him progress in that area of the game the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think you have to love how he's running the football right now. He had a couple yesterday that I'm sure he'd like back. A couple shoestrings that you hope that if you can get the ball on a defensive back, right, you hope it's can be a big football play. But I think I talk all about. I know it's not necessarily anything that's out of the ordinary, but understanding the way defenses are playing for a running back position and understanding who's the guy that I'm going to have to make miss. And then when I get to that level, based off the combinations running through, whether it's that safety or that linebacker that's going to be fighting over a combination block, he is playing so much stronger in the last couple of years, and he's able to do that. And then you can feel the explosiveness once he gets through the hole and the vision and going. And but I think he's in a really good spot, and I know sometimes that's tough when a guy gets. It's human nature sometimes when a guy, you get a contract and maybe you kind of get a little comfortable, and that's not in his DNA. And if anything, I think he's taken a step up in his game, and it's pretty fun to see.
If you look at Josh's intended air yards yesterday, falling under 4 yards per pass attempt, I think the last time, or the only time in the last 3 years that's happened is against Miami last year. Is there something about what they do defensively that makes it tough to maybe push it downfield, or do you like some of the things that you're getting in the short game and you kind of lean into that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination. I think I thought Josh did an incredible job last night at taking what they gave us, right? There's a lot of, they do a unique job of a bunch of versions of split safety and, showing and then dropping out and getting a lot of depth, right? Trying to put an umbrella to the defense. And that's not to say that, there's not plays out there that are to be had in those situations, but he did a really good job being efficient with it, especially on a short week, right? There's not a lot of, you can only get so game plan specific, on those days, right? You got to give your guys what they know, without ever getting a practice and a walkthrough in those situations. But look, I think if teams want to play split safety and give us the opportunity to be able to run the ball, and Josh shows that he can be efficient and take what's underneath throws, at some point they're going to have to switch that up, and then and then it opens up the deep throws. And as long as we don't get greedy and feel like we got to make plays, I think you want to be an explosive offense, so you got to be able to push the ball on the field. I think that's a given, but I think Josh is doing an elite job right now of, if it's not there, checking it down, finding the open, getting our guys rack, and be able to convert first downs. And look, I would have loved for some of those balls to go further yesterday, but I thought he did a great job of playing efficient and doing what we needed to do to win that football game.
How has Josh grown over the last couple seasons of really being okay with taking what the defense is giving you?
Yeah, I think you can see he doesn't care. He doesn't care who's out there running the routes. He doesn't care. He's just going to go through his progressions and take what's there and trust everybody's going to be in their right spots. And I think that there's so much power to that. I think it's you even see on early in the game he went to go throw a stop route to Keon, and boom, they played base defense with it. Found James Cook right there on a check down, and it looks like another check down. That's such an elite football play. Just not going from one side of the field to then having to go to the other side and then scramble around. Like, boom, I just take it and I keep it moving. And those are things that they're not sexy, but it's really good play. And it frustrates the defense. And I think his just growth of just seeing how defenses are playing and just knowing my issues and my answers. And not necessarily saying he's full, but when it's not, oh, hey, boom, that first route didn't win, I know where to go with the ball. This clock in his head, football is slow for him. And look, we've played only 3 weeks right now, right? We're all trying to figure out what these 3 weeks have looked like. It's been a blur since the last 11 days. So it gives us an opportunity this weekend, going to next week, of let's try to figure out what we put on tape these last 3 weeks and try to do some self-scouting as we're going into this next one. But I love where Josh is right now.
Hasn't been a ton of volume for Elijah Moore, but how versatile and an asset is he given his skill set and things he's able to do for you?
Yeah, I think it's tough to get anybody a lot of volume. You know what I mean? I'd love for everybody to get so many touches, but the reality of it is, you might have going into a game and have a certain amount of plays for certain people, and you might call a play and it might go a different direction. But when he's out on the football field, I think they always have to be aware of him, regardless of he could be a backside on a run play. I think, like I said last week, it's important that, especially early in the season, you're doing some things that will pay dividends as the season goes. And look, he's done some really good things with the ball in his hands, and that's been good. It's not like we're just running a play just to run a play and say, hey, we checked the box. You guys got to respect a sweep. Like, we're doing it and getting to the good looks, and he's doing a good job with the ball in his hands. And obviously that was a great job on the shallow cross when they dropped out and covered 2 at the end of the game. Josh found him, and he got the big first down. So I always talk about the character of our guys. You might not get a lot of opportunities, but if you just do your job and your opportunity comes, good things are going to happen. And I'm really pleased with how he's playing.
Usage, snap-wise, has been up the first 3 weeks here compared to where it was last year. How intentional was that versus just the fact that he seems to really be rolling right now?
Yeah, I think every game is going to be a little different. Some of it is, like we went through the first half, right? Had 3 drives. And then you go into the second half, you get the one. It's like, I'd love to get Ray going in there, get Ty, get them all mixed in there. Sometimes if we're not getting a lot of reps, or if we're not getting a lot of plays, I don't want to just, hey, spot a drive just to spot a drive, right? And so every game is going to be a little different. We do obviously have some plays that are naturally tagged for Ray, tagged for Ty, but depending on how the game's going, at some point, it's like, hey, we're not getting enough. Let's make sure Jimbo's still in there. And like I said, he's running the ball really well. In some situations, it's hard to take him off the field, but obviously I got a lot of trust in Ray and Ty when those situations come.
You mentioned Ray there. I mean, he didn't get a touch last night. There's going to be a time this year where you need him. So how do you kind of keep him in it? Because that's got to be tough for a second-year guy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like same thing with Elijah and Josh Palmer last night. Like, every game is going to be different, and I wish I could tell you every game every receiver is going to go for 100 yards and all the running backs are going to go for 100 yards. Dawson didn't have a target last night, and look, as an offensive coordinator, right? You want all your guys to be happy and feel like they were involved. But a big thing that we preach here is, like, we don't care who makes the play, and if you get caught up in worrying about all those other things, when your opportunity comes, you might not make it. And so that's why we stay on the guys, man. Even sometimes they're making the play without making the play, and we try to do a good job of trying to get everybody involved, or at least feel like they're involved. And sometimes, hey, some of those plays don't get called or whatnot. But yeah, I'm sure if you're Ray, you're like, man, I want the rock. So I'm sure he's frustrated from that standpoint, but he doesn't show it, doesn't voice it. You don't sense that. Again, I think it's just the type of people and the culture that we have that I don't think our guys care about anything besides winning. Don't get me wrong, everybody wants to be productive, but at the end of the day, the 1-0 is the mindset everybody kind of has.
Joe, can you speak to the growing confidence that James seems to be running with? There just seems to be more of an assertiveness, and it seems like every time he touches the ball, it's a chance to do what he did against the Jets, and he almost broke a couple yesterday.
Yeah, he's confident. He's confident in the system, in the scheme, the understanding of what he's doing, and how the guys up front are blocking. I think he does a really good job of the communication within drive. As you guys know, we'll repeat some plays, but then after, just seeing the adjustments that some defenses are making and how we're going to approach blocks differently, or what our next get-tos are going to be. But he's extremely confident right now, and he should be. He's a damn good football player, and when you feel it, I felt the same thing. There's a couple last night that the box I almost thought was going to be a house call, right? And so, but he feels that too, right? So it's always a good thing when you come away with a victory. And there was a lot of good, but then your guys still feel that taste of, man, I left some stuff out there. And for a guy like Jimbo, the way he's playing, but to also come away feeling like, man, I was a couple runs from, getting on the safety and those being huge games like it was against Miami last year in the first one. It's a good feeling because your guys will be ready to go, next week.
Touchdown. There was kind of a lot going on there. He slips, he gets the block, Josh almost runs it in himself. Just watching it unfold and knowing what the call is, what was going through your mind?
Well, I didn't like to have to waste a timeout right before that. I try to pride ourselves on offense of not make sure we're having 3 timeouts going into a 2-minute drill. So we had to burn a timeout, not getting lined up right there, and then slow motion you see him slip, but I thought he did a great job staying with the play. It is Josh Allen can do some incredible things when he's on the perimeter, and it's like you can never take your eye off of him, but you also. The reality is a lot of those situations he's going to run for a touchdown, and for a rookie to know, hey, I got to stay with Josh in this situation, and Josh to be able to be Josh Allen and flick it in there and have a touchdown, but did a great job executing his assignment on the play of being able to get Jude on to, feel like the run and then slip into the flat and then get Josh on the perimeter. And we know how good he is in the run game, but for him to have a couple catches early in the season right now and him to get a touchdown right there is, for his confidence, at least in the pass game, is really good.
It's hard to keep momentum in a first half where you have just 3 drives. What is your communication to players, to coaches, to players with each other on the sideline to stay in it when you're not on the field a bunch?
I think not much has to be said. I think the guys understand. Like at halftime, I sat them down. I said, guys, I love how we're playing right now, and I really meant that. We had 3 drives. I didn't like how we finished our 3rd drive. We had our second down, the run, and then the 3rd down sack, and then I got obviously all the faith in Matt, and we obviously missed the field goal there. But I sat them down, and I was like, I love how we're going. Like we don't, and then they came out of halftime with the big touchdown drive, to start the 3rd. So we were in a really good place. Obviously didn't like how we followed it up after that, but I think our guys just know, like, hey, I think the Baltimore game will always be something that no matter what, there's time on the clock, we're going to be all right. And the only people that we feel like and always can stop us is ourselves, right? And some inflicted penalties or negative plays. And so our guys were in a good place and a good state of mind, and halftime getting an opportunity to go look them in the eyes and just know, like, hey, we're good. And let's get ready to rock for the second half.
Joe, how would you just 3 games in, assess where your wide receiver room is, knowing that, there's everybody eats, it's going to be some guys' day, maybe not for others. Just what do you feel like you're getting out of that unit and how they're kind of gelling together?
Yeah, I think, look, I'd be lying. Like right now, that's what I'm going to kind of utilize today is making sure I can go back. Like I said, the Baltimore game, it's boom, the game's over and you're right on to the Jets game. Jets, you're literally on the plane back watching Miami Dolphin tape. So, I mean, it's been, you're spending time obviously watching the tape, but really trying to get a feel of exactly like who we are through 3 games. Teams are naturally game planning off of your previous season. Well, now they got 3 games on us this year, and so getting a feel of that. I think the guys have great chemistry in the room. We're still, as we're sorting through of certain guys' roles week to week, and how that's going to continue to kind of roll through. But we have some opportunities that we've left out there. That we got to take advantage of, but I really like where our guys are in terms of assignments, execution, understanding that, hey, I might not get a target until the second quarter, but I'm still going to do everything I got to do on those plays in case it finds me. So I like where we're at. We obviously have to play a lot better and continue to get better. And like I said, we've never focused on points. We care about winning football games, but there's also a standard by how we play. There's so much good out there, but there's so much more room for us to get better, and we're going to have to get to where we ultimately want to be.
What do you attribute the success you've had on opening drives, be it the first quarter or the 3rd quarter? 5 touchdowns, field goal.
That's a great question. I think it's just our guys not feeling like, hey, they have to do anything different, and just giving the guys what they know early, knowing that going into a game, we might not know exactly how the game's going to get played or how the defense is going to, try to go into the game defending us. And same thing at second half of understanding there's going to be adjustments. I try to stay out of very like game plan specific. Obviously, the touchdown last night, maybe at the end of the drive, was a game plan specific play, but early in the game, just try to get everybody in a rhythm and get comfortable. And sometimes you look back and you're like, man, those are. Why do I get away from that sometimes, and get to some of the game plan plays where it's just like, hey, and that's kind of what the Baltimore game is. That's kind of what, it kind of ended up getting to early. It's like, it might not seem like the perfect play call versus that perfect coverage, but if your guys know it, and all the issues with it, they find a way to make it work. And we give a lot of ownership to our guys in the openers. They meet on Friday and kind of let me know things that they like. And I'll find a way to kind of put those in the openers with that. And so, like I said, usually if they have the ownership and they think a play will work, they'll find a way to make it work.
Is it scripted, or do you go off script in the opening drive? I mean, is it feel-wise?
Usually it's scripted. Again, last night, we had the 13 personnel run, and I kept the same play a couple times. But usually usually I do have it scripted and kind of roll. And usually sometimes that'll take you into the second drive or whatever. Rarely you're able to just completely go down the script, with off schedule and third downs. But that's where we were able to have success in the first half is we stayed on schedule. We stayed out of third downs. We were able to stay in all of our personnel packages as opposed to living in the second and long, third and long situations that we fell into in the end of the second half.
I know it's been a minute since you were with the Saints, but when you look at your coaching journey, what's the biggest thing you took from your time there?
Well, it was an incredible organization. That was my first taste of the NFL, and I thought that how every organization was in the NFL. Leaving there, and that wasn't the case. And I was a assistant to an assistant to an assistant, basically right there. But being able to see Coach Payton and that organization, kind of how they run. See Drew Brees, how he approaches the quarterback position, and take notes on all the details of it. Again, I had no bearing on any success that they had there, but it was huge for me. I felt like I was getting my doctorate there. I tell people all the time, like just sitting there and just seeing how it kind of works and how a winning organization, how they do things the right way, very similar to how we are here. And so that was something I'd definitely take there.
Another play you went to early in the game was the orbit motion with Shakir, but they were run plays, and then late in the game, the go-ahead touchdown, you go back to it, but this time you're throwing it to Shakir. That's his first touchdown of the year, but just what about that play and just how you're able to go to one, use the run and then go back to it in a pass, how you're able to kind of marry those two things with one kind of formation?
Yeah, I think as the game's being played, you're getting a feel of the type of, whether it's going to be the pressures or the man coverages, and we see all those plays very similar. They're just run plays that you're giving Josh the option, and in some of those situations, seeing how the game's being played, that it might be an opportunity to kind of spit it out there. And obviously after the rough and the punter, you knew they were going to have to either get aggressive or play some more man coverage, and so it was a great opportunity for us to get the ball on the perimeter. And Shaves and Dalton did a great job of blocking on the perimeter that allowed Khalil to kind of spring it. But anytime we get our guys in speed and space, I think good things are going to happen.
You guys have played a lot of 13 and 22. From your perspective, why is the league kind of trending to some of those heavier packages?
I think I can't speak for the rest of the league, but I do think there's. It wasn't necessarily last night. We ended up getting goal line to it, but I think it's unique in terms of the type of defenses that you might get with 13 on the field or a fullback on the field, different than sometimes when you're in 11 personnel and 12 personnel, it can be a little bit of a Rolodex, a little bit of everything, right? And usually when you get 13 and 22, they got to fit a lot of two-back runs or different type of gap fits, and what personnel groupings are they going to go with it. So it's not something that will be in every game, but it's something that we evaluate every week, and that a defense is obviously going to have to prepare for. We have such a unique room with our tight ends and our fullbacks that it allows us to do a lot of different things from that.